Yo, this is the Fight Block. UFC 135 is live this Saturday, September 24th. Light heavyweight champion Jon Bones Jones puts his title on the line against challenger Quinton Rampage Jackson. Overall, looks like a solid card to me. 3 prelim fights will be on Facebook, 2 on Spike TV, 5 main card broadcasted pay-per-view fights. Starting off with my predictions for the Ben Rothwell-Mark Hunt fight. Ben Rothwell, former IFL champion, taking on former Pride competitor Mark Hunt. Ben Rothwell hasn't fought since June of 2010. He's been out a while. Suffered a TKO loss, brutal beatdown to Cain Velasquez in his UFC debut. Bounced back and beat Gilbert Yvel by decision in his last fight. Rothwell, there's nothing special about him. He's big. He's got solid hands, decent ground game. All around just a well-rounded fighter, but he's just nothing special. He's big, and he punches, and he brawls, and he can grapple some. I don't know what more to say about him. He's an average fighter, but definitely brings it, and I think has a really good chance at beating Mark Hunt. Mark Hunt, coming off a KO win over Chris Tucher, probably saved his UFC job in that last fight, and now he gets a position on the main card. A little bit surprised about this fight being on the main card, but I mean, these guys are going to come, they're going to brawl. How I see this fight going down, though, I think Ben Rothwell will take this fight to the ground, wrestle Hunt down, and control him on the ground. Beat him up, but I don't see him finishing Mark Hunt, taking Ben Rothwell by unanimous decision. In the next fight on the card, Nate Diaz returns to the lightweight division following 2 consecutive losses at welterweight, and also his brother Nick Diaz coming over to the UFC, now a welterweight challenger. Takes on legendary Pride fighter and Takanori Gomi. This should be a solid fight. Takanori Gomi, since coming over to the UFC, lost his debut to Kenny Florian, then knocked out Tyson Griffin for the first time in his career, and then lost by submission to Clay Guida. So he's 1-2, kind of suffering from the Pride curse, as we've seen in many other fighters that have come over from Japan. Nate Diaz, though, hasn't looked all that impressive lately. He's lost back-to-back decisions, one to Dong Young Kim and Rory McDonald. Just absolutely got destroyed by McDonald. He got thrown around like a rag doll, suplexed. It was pretty ugly. But Nate Diaz back down to lightweight, where I think he belongs. Takanori Gomi, haven't been all that impressed since coming over to the UFC. His knockout victory over Tyson Griffin was pretty sweet, but he hasn't looked all that aggressive. And Nate Diaz is going to come out. He's going to be in your face. And Diaz is tough to finish. He's got a solid chin, solid ground game under Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. So how I see this fight going down, like I said, Nate Diaz, he's going to bring the action to Gomi. Diaz, he's tough to finish. And I just see his aggressiveness powering him through this fight and earning himself a decision victory over Gomi. You know, Gomi definitely does have the power, but I don't know if he can finish Diaz, and I just think Diaz will end up landing more shots in this fight. So I see Nate Diaz winning his lightweight return. It's an important fight for Nate Diaz. He's lost 2 in a row. Important fight for Gomi also. This would be his second loss in a row if Gomi were to lose. I believe Dana White's high on both of these guys, so I'm not sure if either one of their careers is on the line. But 3 losses in a row for Diaz and consecutive losses for Gomi just doesn't look good. So this is a big fight for both fighters. That being said, I'm still taking Nate Diaz by decision. In the next fight on the card, heavy-handed Travis Brown takes on Rob Brunton. To be honest, I don't know much about Brunton. I looked him up on YouTube, watched a few of his fights. Wasn't all that impressed. He did fight James Thompson. Pretty much got destroyed by James Thompson. In the grappling department, Thompson took him down, beat him up, and then right at the end of the fight, Brunton knocked out James Thompson. And pretty much every fight I've seen, he doesn't have very good grappling, and off of his back, he's not that dangerous. So Travis Brown, dangerous on the feet. Probably wouldn't mind standing and banging with him. which is what Brunton's going to want in this fight. Brunton, he's got to punch a shot, but like I said, he's going to be the slower fighter. Travis Brown is going to take it to him. I see Travis Brown finishing Brunton once again in the first round by knockout. In the co-main event, Matt Hughes takes on Josh Koscheck, who is stepping in on short notice for Diego Sanchez. You know, I kind of question the Matt Hughes-Diego Sanchez matchup. Matt Hughes coming off of that KO loss to BJ Penn. And Diego Sanchez was on a several-fight win streak. I don't know off the top of my head, maybe 3. But Sanchez is right there in contention, and Matt Hughes is, I really don't know what his motivation is for fighting right now. And so I kind of question that matchup. Josh Koscheck stepping in. I think this is a good comeback fight for him. As you know, Koscheck has been out since his title fight with George St. Pierre, suffered a broken orbital bone, underwent surgery. His face was numb for a while, and he just got messed up. And Koscheck showed a lot of heart in that fight, not giving up. And now he steps in, makes his UFC return, takes on Matt Hughes. It's a big fight for Josh Koscheck. A win over Matt Hughes is a big fight to put on your resume. Hughes, nearing the end of his career, like I said, not sure what his motivation is, whether he's has any thoughts of retirement or if he has any thoughts of challenging for the title. Very disappointing last fight against BJ Penn, got knocked out in the first round. A lot of people were looking forward to this rematch. It was the trilogy fight, and BJ just, I think, knocked him out with one of the first punches. So, a little bit disappointing there. Actually, very disappointing. But Matt Hughes still getting fights in the UFC, still getting decent opponents, and Koscheck stepping in on short notice. Never know what kind of Hughes is going to show up these days. Definitely an aging fighter. Still has the skill sets. Solid wrestler. Solid stand-up. Experienced. Josh Koscheck, long layoff. Stepping in on short replacement. Don't know what kind of condition he's going to come in. But Koscheck's the younger, faster fighter. Definitely can match his wrestling with Matt Hughes. And I give Koscheck the stand-up advantage. So, I'm picking this fight. I'm taking Josh Koscheck to defeat Matt Hughes by decision. Matt Hughes, for the most part, durable fighter. Tough to finish. And same can be said for Koscheck. Tough to finish. And I just see this fight going all 3 rounds. But I think Koscheck is going to end up victorious. And I'm not sure what's next for Matt Hughes. If he loses this fight, back-to-back losses to BJ, and then to Koscheck would not be all that great for his career. And it could potentially be his last fight. So, at this point, not sure what the future holds for Matt Hughes. But a win over Josh Koscheck, who just fought for the title, would be a huge win for Hughes. And it would be another one of those fights that would guarantee Matt Hughes another big fight. And possibly Diego Sanchez once Sanchez comes back. And then that fight would make more sense because Matt Hughes would be coming off a win. Diego Sanchez on a winning streak. Bada bing, bada boom. Makes sense. But before, didn't make sense. So yeah, Koscheck by decision. Jon Jones puts his title on the line against Quentin Rampage Jackson. There's a lot of heat, a lot of trash talking going on in this fight. Both fighters do not like each other. Jon Jones, coming off of that victory over Mauricio Shogun Rua, just made Shogun look silly and just absolutely dominated him. Pretty much Jon Jones has dominated every single one of his opponents in the UFC, including his loss to Matt Hamill, which was by DQ, controversial. Pretty much should be undefeated in the UFC right now. But Jon Jones, a beast. And he's got the potential to be the greatest fighter, in my opinion, of all time in the UFC if he continues his winning ways. And I say that only because he's so young, still improving, and he just has infinite potential. Quentin Rampage Jackson, coming off of his decision victory over Matt Hamill, earned himself this title shot against Jon Jones. Quentin Rampage Jackson's takedown defense looked solid in his fight against Hamill. But other than that, just wasn't that impressed. I mean, Quentin Jackson's known for knocking people out, and he hasn't been doing that as of late. Really, in my opinion, That's all he possesses in this fight that should concern Jon Jones is his knockout power. I think Jon Jones has the advantage in wrestling. Before Matt Hamill's fight, Jackson showed a little bit of questionable takedown defense. Looked good in his fight against Hamill, but I'm questionable on whether or not he'd be able to stop Jon Jones' takedowns on the feet. Jon Jones has the reach advantage, and I mean, I just see Jon Jones once again destroying Quinton Jackson. Quinton definitely can catch Jones. We haven't really seen Jones truly challenged or in any kind of danger yet in the UFC, especially on the feet. And Quinton is a dangerous striker, but I'm still giving this fight to Jon Jones. I think Jones will finish Jackson in the third round. I see Jones getting this fight to the ground and finishing Jackson with those brutal elbows and retaining his title. So, Jon Jones by TKO in the third round over Quinton Jackson. And then, hopefully, we finally get to see the Jon Jones-Rashad Evans fight that I've been waiting for a while. So, hopefully the UFC can make that happen. And, but yeah, UFC 135 looks like a solid card to me. Should be some good fights. Thanks for listening. Once again, this is the Fight Block. You can follow on Twitter at fight_block. Check out the blog. It's www.fightblock.blogspot.com. Frequently sort of updating that, so check it out. Just look at it. And that's about it for now. Thanks for listening once again, and I'm out of here. Peace.